Yeah, during lunch, sure, that'd be fine.
Sure.
Okay, so,
Are you recording?
I can
I am.
start us off
I
real
am.
quick. I know how to do
okay,
this.
so let's look at this. This
Yeah,
is,
same. Yeah.
honestly, this one, you're gonna kick yourselves, cause this was a,
I already did.
I kinda,
It's
yeah.
pretty easy.
It is pretty easy.
It makes sense
Yeah.
now.
You do the same thing?
Yep.
Okay, so all you're doing is, you're, to calculate profit, right? Profit is just revenue minus cost, right?
Make
So
sure you
what's,
use different
what's the
variables.
revenue?
P.
So,
Price times the number of units.
yeah, exactly, yeah. The revenue is just the amount of money that you're getting from the people buying your stuff, right, in your company. So if there's X number of units sold and the public is paying P dollars per item, well then X times P is your income, right? So XP, and then the cost is just that, right? So we just end up with X times 75 minus 1/3 X minus the quantity, 1/4 X squared plus 62X.
Yeah, 1x throws the whole thing off.
That's right,
Yeah.
Forget 1s, x, you done messed up.
that's right.
But
Okay, so what do we get then? So we get the function profit
No,
as a
I'm
function of
This
X.
is how calculus is.
So what's that gonna give
I'm
us?
not attacking you guys, I'm sorry.
Minus 1/3
Don't do that,
x
Brandon.
squared minus 1/4
Wow,
x
way to be
squared
like that.
minus 62x minus 125.
Okay, combining like terms,
You
negative
might
1/3 X
be
squared plus
everything
negative
that's
1/4
done.
X squared, 7/12, negative 7/12 X squared.
We shall have a support group for doing things wrong in calculus.
So that takes care of
Actually,
those
we
two.
are our own support group.
Yeah.
What, plus 13X?
Yes.
Minus
Minus
125.
Okay, that's a pretty easy function to deal with, right?
Sure.
So P prime
Support, right?
is
Negative 7/12
7
6
6
Uh,
X plus 13. So P prime equals 0 when X equals 108 sevenths,
Yep.
right? Okay. P double prime,
Is that 100?
I don't think that's.
That's not 108.
That's not 108.
That's 78.
That's
78, you're right. You're right. How to get 108 out of that?
That's a lot. I don't know. For some reason, that 8 made it sound right.
Yeah.
I'll give you that, but that's about it.
78 sevenths, yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, P double prime is what?
It's
Negative 76.
Negative. You don't even need to know what it is, just negative, right? Okay, so then if we were to make our table, this is just gonna look like,
So basically,
So
I
basically,
did have most of it right, except for having the other X, because like my Y P double prime is still negative, so really I had most of it right.
so we got, yeah,
Still would've turned this in.
what would our domain be? Technically, we'd want to include our domain, so what is our domain?
not including 0.
0 to infinity.
Okay, so yeah.
That's what I thought.
And
it
you
was
could
the
include
way I-
0 or not include 0. I mean, making 0 items is not gonna make you much money though, is it?
Yeah.
So, but it's gonna be somewhere, it's gonna be some positive real number,
The
right?
way that we had this business make 0 items is probably better than none.
Hey, my business, yeah, my business
I mean,
did make
they-
items and they made little.
So if they don't make any items, they're losing 12 grand almost, is what I got.
That's just for paying their, like, you know,
Yeah.
business people.
I've got them at like negative 11,700.
So we're just taking into account all the.
So really,
expenses
we're
for
telling,
them.
yeah.
So,
You
okay,
need to be careful.
so then, we get a
That's
0
what they need to make
and a negative, right? So this is definitely the maximum that we want, and what did the question even ask for?
What daily
Daily
output
output.
produces maximum?
Oh, so X equals 78 sevenths, right? Which
Yeah.
is roughly equal to
11 point.
11.1 something, okay? So what should our daily output be?
11.11.
Yeah, I mean, and you could say, I would have
The
taken
extra
either
mile.
one. I mean, if you had said, really honestly, that'd be fine, because you might, I could see somebody saying, okay, so our average output should be 78 sevenths, and that's fine. I mean, I would take that. If you're thinking, okay, you can only make a discrete number of these things per day, then we should settle on 11. I'd take that too, 100%.
More.
No, cause you couldn't make, I mean, no, it would be 11, because, and here's how you can tell for
Because-
sure.
And that's a peak, so it would be slightly less at 12.
Right, and the way you would know is you could say, okay, well, let's evaluate our function at 11 and at 12, and where's it gonna be bigger? Guarantee it's gonna be bigger at 11, because that's closer to the
Yeah.
peak.
And then
Right.
11 would still be going on a positive slope too, while 12 would be on the negative.
Right. So, I mean, I would have taken really either 11 or the actual answer would have been fine. I mean, I wouldn't have quibbled over a little. If you did it all right, I would say that's fine.
Yeah.
74/3.
Right.
I
Okay.
got one
Is
in
it at
24.
Make sense?
What did you get?
Negative
I didn't get
374.
negative though, I had positive,
Get a
but
positive.
I had 374/3.
So did I, but I had negative.
We all had the same word.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
Chanel.
had negative,
Yeah.
but-
I had.
I'd say that shows something for consistency.
It
We all
does,
agree
and you
on
were
that.
consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this one? This one is,
That's just one.
This one I just now.
I didn't.
Yeah.
okay, let's go through this one.
I wrote a
It
lot.
should be hard.
I wrote down a lot too.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, like I say, maybe yesterday wasn't the best day for
I
it.
drew 3 pictures.
Okay, you don't even really need a picture. If you want a picture, it's fine.
So you're writing.
I made sure to like try and include the distance formula, and I like had attempts at things, but I never really finished it.
So there's the picture,
Let me see your drawing.
if and you
At
want
least
it,
my
there it
drawing's
is, right?
correct.
The point is at 1, 0, okay, and we're trying to find the nearest point on the function to that point.
Not as correct.
Not a big deal. How would we do this? Well, we're just gonna set up a distance formula, right? So we've got some point, being as we have the graph, let's use it. So that has coordinates 1, 0. Somewhere up here, we're gonna have a point with coordinates, call it x, y, right?
Yep.
So what's the distance between x, y, and 1, 0?
1 minus x squared plus y squared equals d.
Okay, so
Well,
let's, yeah,
technically d squared.
let's call that, let's
you
call
don't
that
get
d, right?
Yeah.
And why don't we just say, because we could make this, we did a problem like this, you
Yeah,
might
we can
remember a
just
while
do
ago.
regular d.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
forever. I just
We
don't
could
know.
use the Pythagorean theorem and say d squared equals, look at that triangle. D squared equals this side squared plus that side squared. Well, what's that side squared? That's just gonna be x minus 1 squared, or 1 minus x squared, doesn't matter. Just call it x minus 1, right?
Wait, why
Yeah,
does
that's
it
work.
matter?
It doesn't matter because I'm squaring it, so I'm gonna get the, right, I'm gonna get the same result either way, positive or negative, doesn't make any difference.
Why don't you have
Plus-
the distance formula on the board? You have like
Yeah, you have every other
every
formula.
other.
Well, you guys, you know the
It's
distance
Pythagorean
formula.
theorem.
Yeah, it's
I'm
Pythagorean
with you.
Well, yeah, but I.
Freaking distance formula is stupid, never use it. Just use Pythagorean theorem. It's the same damn thing.
There you go.
It's-
Bleep.
I wouldn't have stated it quite that emphatically, but he's right. Okay, so everybody agree, there's the Pythagorean theorem? Everybody
So
agree?
wouldn't the second thing just be y then?
No, but you don't even, you
Well,
also don't even
y
need to
squared.
deal with d
Yeah,
squared,
but like
because you
what?
can just make it d, because if d's big, then d squared's also big, so we just want it big or small, I guess.
So that's x minus 1,
Totally sure.
that's y minus 0. right? Okay, so then we don't need to solve for d, because if we're trying to find the point that minimizes distance, it's also gonna minimize the square of distance, right? Agreed?
Wow, that really worked well for you.
I'm still right.
At least you understand it, but yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
distance is necessarily, it's a positive thing. And so if it's a positive thing, its square is gonna be minimized when it's minimized, right? So why don't we just instead, let's call this capital D. And we'll just minimize
Yeah, it
that.
did have a
Right.
capital D, I remember that.
Okay, so then what's the problem being here though, capital D is equal to x minus 1 squared plus y squared. So we got two variables. Well, what's our
Y
equation of constraint?
Root x, y equals root x.
Yeah, the constraint is that this can't just be any point in the plane, it's gotta be a point on that curve, right? So y equals the square root of x. So then we end up with d of x equals x minus 1 squared plus the square root of x squared, which is
X.
x. So we end up with x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus x, right? And so we end up with d of x equals x squared minus x plus 1.
So when for the, or here, solve my question.
Okay, what's the domain?
0 to,
Right. just the domain of the square root of x function, right? So all non-negative numbers. And now the calculus is really easy. D prime of x is, okay? So D prime equals 0 when x equals 1/2. And D
So goddamn
I have
close.
1/2 on the paper.
D double prime is
I do have one.
2.
Positive.
So it's positive, right? And so
Ah,
all we gotta do on our table,
I don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah, I do.
I think we should just, change up some numbers and take this test again Monday. Feel free.
well, we will take it again on Monday, part one.
Pretty much same problem.
Well, I don't know about that, but
Damn it. Then we're gonna have the same thing in Tuesday.
no, we're not. This is we're taking it.
But I like that equation.
So then our one critical number was at 1/2, we got a 0 there, positive there, which means it is a minimum, right? And what were they asking for? The point, I think,
That's closest, yeah.
that's closest? Okay, so if x is 1/2, then what's y? Square root of 1/2, yeah, right? So that's x, so we'd end up with the point 1/2 and 1/radical 2. If you want to rationalize it, fine, I wouldn't care.
I was real close.
I was-
Close.
Okay.
I had a radical, and it was under, it was by.
Make sense? And then, if anybody got in the riddle, I was prepared to give an automatic A+, but nobody did, so.
It was a terrible.
Cause, yeah.
It was. Oh, on the.
It was pretty bad.
On the physics test yesterday, I actually had to do, say the quadratic formula song to myself. And I